because that's always fun to start off with just a Q&A.
Why is your shirt green?
It's because it's the Trusted Sec logo, and Trusted Sec green. Right? I'm a principal security consultant at Trusted Sec, is probably why he's leading me into disclosing that. But yeah, I've known Rocky for quite some time. I was trying to figure it out the other day, and I think it's been 2008, and I'm really bad at math, so you guys can do that. But yeah, so Rocky, I actually wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Rocky. And I actually owe him a lot. I refer to him as my business daddy. Because when I first started, I was doing network engineering. Didn't know anything about InfoSec. I was a little bit of an asshole teenager. Yeah. So I would take, and this was back, when all of the hashes were just LM hashes. So we would crack the password, and we would crack like half of it. And then we'd crack the other half of it because it was obvious what the password was. So he kept, our administrator at our high school would just come up with these ridiculously complicated passwords, to which we would take a couple days to crack and then write it on a Post-it note. Not do anything wrong with it. We would just leave it on a Post-it note on his desk, or on his door, so that he knew that it was broken. So that was my, how I got into hacking. But then it was really Rocky that brought me over to the pen testing. And introduced me to the conference scene as well. Let's see, DerbyCon started in 2012, right? So I think DerbyCon 2 was the first conference that I went to. Rocky was like, hey, why don't you come down to Kentucky with me and then check this thing out? So that was when I met Dave, too, because he did the training. Actually, Adrian was one of the instructors, too, during that training. So come a long way. But yeah, so I got a story about this one time. I was doing a physical. I don't know if you know Paul Koblitz, but I was with him, and so we were in this high-rise building, and he went one way to take one route, and I went another, and it was like the 21st floor or something like that. So I went up to the 22nd floor, right? And I go down the fire escape, and luckily it didn't lock behind me, but I get there, and I'm trying to figure out how to open up the emergency exit from the opposite side. And I think that I got a pretty good idea, but I just want to run past Paul. So I run back down, and I grab Paul and bring him back up there. So the both of us are now in this fire escape. This is a stairway shaft of 30 stories at least. So it's just echoey. And then all of a sudden we hear a door. Hello? Anybody there? So one lesson that I learned that day is when you have the adrenaline really pumping in your brain, even there was no threat of going to jail or, this was all sanctioned stuff, but you still get that adrenaline. I learned fight or flight. If you start eating, it takes away that adrenaline. So if you ever, running from somebody, I'm not just saying, yes, it's like a biohack. So yeah, I learned that from Koblitz. But anyway. So we're sitting there. We hear these,
Does he just eat all the time?
No, when he's doing stuff, he taught me to carry a granola bar. For real, I do. When on physical pen tests, I carry a granola bar because your heart gets pumping when, you're picking a lock and all of a sudden it opens in front of you. And this happened to Koblitz and I actually less than 6 months ago. And the guy goes, "Can I help you?" We said, "Yeah, it said telephone room. We were looking for the telephone." "Oh, no, that's over here." And so he led me back, escorted me behind the counter back to the telephone room. That was one of the goals. Anyway, different story. So we're in this elevator shaft, and I'm shaking, like, and he's like, "All right, eat something." But anyway, so the door closes, and we immediately run up and hide in the bathroom. We're like, what just happened? And that's when he gave me the food and stuff. And then, some time went by, and we finished up our assessment, and I was sitting down in the lobby just kind of waiting for Paul. And the security guard comes up to me, and he goes, "Hey, were you up on the 23rd floor?" "Yeah. What were you doing up there?" I said, "Well, I was talking to my wife. I took a private phone call in the fire escape. And he goes, oh, okay. I figured it was something like that. They reported that a guy with a beard and really nice pants was in the fire escape, and so I saw you. I thought that was you. I was like, yep, that was me. Good detective work. And, so trying to think, that was also the time where since we went the separate ways, Paul had gotten busted right away. Like, he tried to tell the front desk lady something, and she didn't believe him. So he was just sitting there busted. So then I come up the elevator. I see him. He looks at me. I didn't see the text message that said, like, go to the other floor, because he was already busted. That was fun. All right, let's see. What other stories?
You still got back on the elevator and go?
I got back on the elevator, yeah. I went, and then went right back in. Because I saw him, and he was like, nope. Let's see. I got stories, but there's some stories that they're so specific that you can't. The laptop from hell. All right, so I had to write a report the other day for a client, and it had 0 findings. And it was the most frustrating time that I had ever had, because by design, they gave me the password. I could log into the account as long as I was physically on that premise. If I took it to my house, which I did, as soon as you logged in, it logged you out. I couldn't stop it. Everything's encrypted. It's all on TPM. It was a brick. There was nothing I could do to it. So I sent them a slow clap gif. And that was their report. So, do you know what I'm talking about? So, we'll talk about it later. Let's see.
Just to inform the audience, what was the name of the one software?
I believe it was Absolute is the software. I hadn't heard it at the time. I did my damnedest to try and they even told me like what it was triggering on, and I still could not trick it because it was just so much different metadata I was pulling in that. Yeah, so it was frustrating. I gave up on that. Yeah, so check out Absolute. Also, it does like proximity alerts. So as soon as that device showed up at my network, as soon as I plugged it in, they got an email. They knew when I started working on it. So that was fun. But let's see. Physical stories are usually the best. So I was in Boston in a high rise, and we walk up, and there is this turnstiles, so one person in through the gate at a time, and I was like, oh, we're done, guys. Like, there's a security guard right there. We can't make it into the elevator bank. So the guy I'm with is like, here, hold my beer, and just walks right behind the guy. And as soon as the gate opens, he just sticks his hand in and holds it. And the alarm goes off. Nobody looks at him. Security guards don't care. He just kept walking. I said, okay. So I did the exact same thing right after he did, and we got in. That was so we were talking earlier about like pretexts, and some pretexts are off limits, like being a law enforcement agent, like impersonating a law enforcement agent. So I don't do that, and I don't advocate for that. And I also don't advocate to say that you're the fire marshal. However, a good ruse is to do a fire safety inspection and check all of the expiration dates on all the fire extinguishers, which gets you into a lot of buildings, in a lot of rooms, and yeah, that and carry a ladder. You can go anywhere. Anybody? Any questions? All right. I think I'm out of stories.